or three, but maybe it is. Come on down, we're gonna sit around, we're gonna get into your business, get into your business, get into your business.
Welcome to the Small Business Miracles Podcast. My name is Jeff Randolph. This small business podcast is brought to you by EAG Advertising and Marketing. We are here to talk about marketing. We're also here to celebrate entrepreneurs. And Theo's off mic right now, which is an awkward place for him to be. So Theo, give me your best nonverbal head nod assent if you're ready to go today. Are you ready? Ladies and gentlemen, he's not the best in the business for nothing. He really has this under control. Thanks, Theo. Yes, we do have guests in the studio, and I'd like to bring him into the show. Ellie Boyle and John Meyer, family co-owners of Meyer Music. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
To be here.
Oh, no, this is, welcome to the studio. We're all here in this wonderful space where we can, where I had the privilege of interviewing your dad not long ago. And so out of the popularity of that episode, because everybody was like, yes, I need to know more, here you are. So thanks for being here. I wanted to start out and just be like Meyer Music has been a staple of Kansas City for 60 years. If you are in band or orchestra in a high school in the metro area, your family has absolutely touched their lives. My brother, we actually got our first piano as a family from you guys. Your mom was there at the time, and my brother sat down and took piano lessons until he was ready to say, okay, I'm done practicing piano now. So a long career of that throughout the family. So you've touched our lives for sure, but so many people in the metro area. First, if I back up and just make sure that everybody has a good level set on Meyer Music, how do you describe Meyer Music to people? What do you say that Meyer Music is? What do you do?
You want me to go? Okay. So we really are kind of more in the band and orchestra business here in the Kansas City area. We service school districts around the Kansas City area. In about at a 100-mile radius around Kansas City, we service about 60 different school districts. So that is in terms of school equipment, school rentals for the students in the program. And then we also offer lessons in our store for, a range of different instruments. And then also accessory sales and things like that inside of our store. We still do a little bit of pianos, although it's becoming less. But for a long time, we were very heavy into the piano business, and still do a lot of pianos as well. But mainly now it's kind of band and orchestra for school districts around the Kansas City area.
Yeah, and current number of stores. Where do you focus on one in particular as a person?
We started in Blue Springs. Blue Springs is our main warehouse space, but have grown to now we have a total of 3 stores. One in Blue Springs still, that's still our warehouse space, our kind of headquarters, and then Overland Park that John works at with my dad, in North Kansas City, which is run by our Aunt Mitzi.
Excellent. All right. And let me get into this because you both had, obviously growing up in the business, third generation now of family ownership. So you were there at the beginning, kind of running around and having a good time, but you both took a little bit of a different path to get there. You didn't start immediately in the business and that's the only thing. You each kind of went out and did a thing. Can you talk about that path that you took, just kind of in general? Because I'm curious, what did that path outside teach you that you brought back into the business with you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's funny. I don't think either of us really expected to go into the business. And it's actually funny looking at our dad, our uncle, our aunt, all of them kind of had that path outside before they joined, because I think it's something that you need to step away and see how lucky you are to have the opportunity to do it. But I moved to New York City right after college, and had a few jobs while I was there. I worked for the New York Mets when I first moved out there, did game day or non-game day events. So, trade shows, concerts, birthday parties, bar mitzvahs, anything that happened at the stadium when it was closed.
Mets birthday party, that is at the stadium, yes. Mets birthday party.
Yes.
That's nicely done.
Yes, nicely very done. Interesting. And then kind of moved into the corporate events world. And most recently, before I came back, I was working at a commercial real estate events and networking organization. So I managed all of our team of event planners while I was there. And I think the biggest thing that I learned is, you graduate college. We grew up working in the business, and it's hard to look at your dad and really see him as your boss. So for me, it was important to step away and have not an actual boss, because I obviously really respect my dad, my aunt, my uncle, my grandparents, but have a little bit more skin in the game of, okay, this is a first job. I need to really impress them. I need to really work hard and kind of learn to be an adult and learn to communicate effectively and send emails and all of the stuff that goes along with your first couple of jobs after college. And I think, the biggest thing I learned was just how to be a professional human being in a professional setting. And then the other thing I think kind of non-business wise is just kind of stepping away to see how lucky I was to have an opportunity to join a business like this. Because growing up, Meyer Music was always there. I think it was easy to take it for granted because it was like, oh, it's always there. It's always there. And, I think looking back, the way that we grew up running around the store, playing hide and seek under the pianos, using Meyer Music as a daycare, a place to go when we were sick, all of the above. It was something that when I got older and was working a normal corporate job and starting to think about having a family and having kids, thinking, gosh, how cool is that my kids could potentially grow up the way that I grew up. Right. And also the flexibility that comes with working at a family business. I think both of us definitely take advantage of that. If one of our kids is sick, they are coming to the store with us. They're sleeping in a lesson studio. I'm wearing my baby while I'm checking in instruments and tagging trombones and things like that. So I think just stepping away and working in just a normal corporate environment was something that for me, I was like, gosh, how cool that I could join a business like this.
Yeah. John.
Yeah. And for me, I think it was super important to get out. I was 12 years old when I started working at the store. So I never really knew anything else. And I was so young. I hadn't even, hit puberty yet when I first started working at the store. And the funny thing was people would call me ma'am when I was on the phone because I was so young. My voice was really high. I even one time I was up working at the front counter and there was a kid that walked into the store with his mom, and he walked up to the front counter and he was like, "Mom, there's a kid working at the counter." And she looked at him and she was like, "Shh." And he was like, "No, you don't understand, Mom. There's a kid." And she's like, "Stop." And he's like, "Mom, you don't understand. There's a child behind the front counter." And I'm standing there like, what is this? But yeah, so I was so young when I first started working at the store. You really, you grow up and you don't realize kind of how good you have it. And then you think, well, there's got to be more out there. And so when I went to college, I majored in supply chain management, and I got an internship with a company called C.H. Robinson, which is, a Fortune 500 company. And it's very large and impersonal. And so I got that internship the summer before my senior year of college, and ended up accepting a job position there at the end of the internship, which was really nice going into senior year, having a job. But then I think that was kind of the carrot for me at that point. And then I went to my senior year, came back and started working in it, and just absolutely hated it. And I'll still remember this. I came home, I had lunch with my parents, or had dinner with my parents. And I told both of them, I'm like, after a month of working there, I said, "I hate this. This is terrible." I'm making, 150 phone calls a day, just, your normal run-of-the-mill sales job. And I was like, this is just awful. And my dad was like, you can't quit now. It's too early. You don't even know yet whether you're going to really like it or not. Sales jobs are really hard at the start. You should give it some more time. And I said, "Okay, how long do you think I should stay?" And he said, "Well, let's revisit this in 6 months." And I said, "Okay." And so, I keep working there. I keep going along. And then about 5.5 months in, I'm thinking, I'm going to make a switch because I'm still not liking it. I'm still coming in every day and it's just not fun. I ended up so when you start there, you work under a senior sales person. And and his name was Nick Ches. He was a great guy, and basically my job was to cover his book of business when he couldn't handle it, so that I could kind of learn how to run my own book of business. And you develop your own book in the background while you're doing that. And so I got pulled into a conference room with him and my former boss, and he told me that he had cancer. Nick did. He told me that he had cancer and that he needed my help covering his book. And so I said, okay. And so I ended up staying for another 6 months after that, and had some conversations with my dad after that conversation with them. And my dad was like, well, if you really want to, if you want to see if this is something that you want to do, if the business is something that you want to do, why don't you, come and work some in the evenings? We need an evening manager right now. And so I said, okay. And so I went and started working there. I would work C.H. Robinson during the day, and then I would go and I would work Meyer Music in the evenings and be the evening manager. And the evening manager part was like the best part of my day. And that's really when I realized that this is what I wanted to do, and that this is, the business was the direction that I wanted to go in. So I ended up quitting on Nick's last day of chemo, and gave my 2 weeks notice and started working in the family business, and really have not turned back since. It's been an amazing journey so far. It's the best decision I've made so far. So.
And great stories of that transition time between like the kids running around in the store and then thinking, I'm coming back. This is what a great experience to have. Plus, what an amazing, resource to have in Kansas City, right? You guys, the longevity that Meyer Music has had in the city is absolutely crazy. We work with and talk to a lot of multi-generation family-owned kind of businesses. But it's that there are some challenges that come along with that, and then there are some wonderful benefits that come along with that. As you think about the benefits, you've thrown a couple out so far, but it was the best part of your day. You were working 2 jobs essentially, a full 40-hour a week kind of job, and then the best part of your day was working at the family store. What are as you think about the best parts of being in a family-owned business? What are those?
I mean, I think getting to see, for me right now, I work in our Blue Spring store, and that's the one that my grandparents started. So my grandpa still comes in every day. And I don't know how old he is. He probably wouldn't want us to say on the podcast. But getting to see him every day is something that I think is really cool. I get to go into his office and sit down and talk to him about life and how he's doing. And then also just it's fun. I think whenever there's a tense conversation or something that happens, I get to be the one to call my brother or my dad or my aunt or my uncle about it. And I think, when we were young, we saw a lot of the fun parts of it, or things that probably as an adult, they're not fun. Now that I'm doing it on the other side, like our busiest time of the year in August. Now it's like my busiest time of the year. We're working a lot of hours. It's really hard. But when I was young, that was so fun. Busy season was so fun because my mom would pick us up from school and we would go with my dad to a rental night at a different school, and it would be my sister making name tags, my brother and I kind of greeting people at the door. My mom was renting instruments. My mom's parents were there, even though they're not involved in the business. They would come and rent instruments. So it was truly just like a family affair.
And all hands on deck. Everybody pitches in, teamwork, collaboration. Kind of thing.
And then the show would end and we would go to dinner and we would go home. We'd go to bed. We'd do it the next day. And it was like 4 weeks of that. And I remember being so excited for busy season. And I'm sure my dad was like not feeling the same way. But it is really cool. Right now, we both have kids that are really young, so it's hard to involve them in the business. But I think, the biggest benefit is as we get older, getting more time with our families because we have a family business and we have the flexibility to just take them to work. We started answering the phones when we were 12. We were there. Yeah. I think one of us was there every single day of the week. We both were there on Saturdays. So that's effectively more time that our dad got to spend with us.
True,
And I think that's really special. I think... What do you think are the other benefits that you see?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the business that we're in is just a fun business. Music is just it's just a fun thing. It's a fun thing for everybody. So, you get to witness these kids that come in here and they get to learn something that they really love and enjoy, and whether or not they end up continuing with it, it's a really fun thing to do. So. we're very fortunate that the business that we got into is just like a really fun business to be in. But for me, I think I really fell in love with, I always say it's kind of our cast of characters. Like, we just have this super, retail is such a fun business to be in because you have these just like really interesting people that work for you. And I call them a cast of characters, but really it's like it's this big family that we've built because we've been able to hold on to a lot of our employees for like a really long time. And we've built this environment that is very personal and with our employees. We don't treat people like they're employees. We treat people like their family. And so, every day you get to come in and you get to spend time with these just really interesting people. And I can remember that from when I was growing up. There was always people coming in and out of the business that were so interesting. And then now that I'm older, we've been able to hang on to a lot of those people. Like, one of our longest tenured employees, her name's Linda Simpson. She's been working for the business for, I think, 55 of the 60 years.
55 years, yeah. She started when she was 16.
Yeah, and she's, she taught every Meyer how to play the piano. We all call her Aunt Linda. She gives every Meyer kid and grandkid a Christmas present every year, which seems completely ridiculous.
It does. You don't have a bad business if someone stays around that long and also then teaches you to play the piano.
Yeah,
like, those are
totally.
That is the testament to what you've got going on there, and the special place that it is.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's amazing to be a part of that family every day when you come in there. And then the other part is just like, I mean, it's like the best and the worst part working around your family all the time, because one, you work around your family all the time, which is good and bad. It's very fun, but it's also kind of draining because you're around your parents.
Because you're around your parents.
I work with my dad every single day. I'm around my dad 8 hours a day, which is, a lot of people are like, how do you do that? And I'm like, well, first of all, my dad's like my best friend. We talk all the time. Every Saturday morning I go into work and we sit in his office for probably 2 hours every Saturday and just talk. Just talk about everything. Talk about the business, talk about my kids, talk about my wife, talk about our family, talk about, everything. And it's just, that part of it is just amazing to me, because when something goes well, the first person that you want to tell is your parents. When something goes bad, the first people that you want to tell are your parents, So that, for me, is like the most rewarding part about it, just having that around all the time.
Well, I think it's a good transition point to get into the other side of it, because we have a lot of business owners that we work with, and there's always the opportunity that you could start this into a family-owned business. We've seen the upsides, the downsides, and I want to get to that just kind of in a little bit of a different way, because your grandparents, when they set this up, had some rules that they put into place, that, like, no talking over each other or avoiding personal attacks. As you think about, the safeguards that have been put in place to kind of keep the damage that could happen by working with family, at a minimum, what are those challenges that you face in that family-owned kind of environment?
I mean, I think there's always frustrations that come. I mean, we all have different strengths and weaknesses. And I think that's something that, my grandparents were really good at seeing each other's strengths and weaknesses. And my dad, my aunt and uncle can look at each other and know that they have very different strengths and weaknesses. And I think now the two of us have very different strengths and weaknesses, which is a big benefit, but it also comes with tension, like sending an email and not getting a response. And I think because we're siblings and we've had our fair share of sibling arguments, it would be very easy for me to call and be like, what the heck are you doing? I sent you this email 5 days ago. And I think, we definitely do some of that, but we've learned from our dad and our aunt and uncle, who effectively learned from their parents how to keep it really professional. And I remember growing up, we went to my grandma and grandpa's house every single Sunday, and we had lunch and hung out at their pool as a family, and we didn't talk about the business. Or they didn't talk about the business. We were young, but they didn't talk about the business. And I think, they're able to leave it there. which is a big testament to my grandparents because they were the ones that ultimately set that culture, and it's kind of traveled down.
Yeah. I mean, I think the hardest part about it is like family is all personal. Business is all business. But you have to figure out that balance between making, because when your family is business, then where is that line? And it's funny that, my dad and my aunt and my uncle talk about these rules that my grandparents put in place, but like we never really heard about those rules. And we don't really talk about those rules now because like they figured out how to operate under those rules. And so for us, it's almost kind of like second nature.
Oh yeah. It's baked in.
Yeah. Like I don't really remember hearing about those rules, but like obviously I remember being raised watching that and like, okay, what's acceptable and what's not acceptable? And when have you seen things pushed that didn't go over well? And, for us, it's just kind of become second nature. Like, I think that we just kind of operate in that realm of, there are things that are business and there are things that are personal, and those just are separate. And for me, I don't really have to think about that a whole lot because it's very second nature. But that's the hardest part is like business can become, if it's with your family, business can become personal very fast, but it's not personal.
Right.
So
I also think we all kind of know. I think in a traditional, you go to work and that's your work life, and then you have your home life. But because those are intertwined, like I know when my dad is going through something heavy or when my brother's going through something heavy at home, and for good or for bad, like it's kind of, okay, I need to pick up the slack for this person because they're going through a lot and they might drop the ball here.
Right.
And same thing, I think our aunt and uncle are like, we know when stuff is going on. And I think it's probably makes things a little bit more stressful because there is truly never like a work-life balance. Like it all is intertwined. Like you're just at work or you're with your family as opposed to going home and being able to put it away. But I think we all are really good at picking up the ball when someone else might drop it because they have something going on outside of work.
Yeah, it occurs to me though that is a real advantage if you do have that empathy, right? If you have that emotional intelligence where you can look at somebody and go, hey, I know they've got that going on at home. We haven't talked about it, but I know that's a thing. I know there's going to be some slack to pick up and I'm here for it because we're family.
Yeah.
That's a different kind of experience than say Theo and I, where, Theo doesn't want to talk about whatever just happened at his house. And, I'm not going to know about that. I just know that, he's not doing a thing.
Yeah.
It seems like there could be some real advantages there, even though as long as there's the empathy, the emotional intelligence, the mutual respect, at the end of the day, we're family and we like each other.
Yeah.
And that
everyone's working their hardest.
Yeah. They're giving.
Doing their best.
Yeah. And that your example of, hey, I sent you an email and you didn't reply to my email. Doesn't then turn into like families bring so much emotional baggage with them in general that, that could easily devolve into you took my Legend of Zelda game and I, from way back in the day, go reach back in history and come up with a gripe that, doesn't exist there.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. But we also just like working together. I mean, we also just like talking to each other, like
we spend a lot of time together because we also hang out a lot outside of work.
We hang out a lot outside of work. We were on FaceTime last night at 8:30 talking about something that happened at the store. I mean, we just we talk all the time. We work together. And it's that way with all of us. Like, I talk with my dad all the time. I talk with my uncle all the time. I talk with my aunt all the time. We all talk a lot and we really just enjoy working together. Which is nice. But I don't think that we would have that if we didn't have way back in the day those rules that they had set and that example that my grandparents set that allowed us to make it to, where we're at and operate the way that we do now.
And good parenting that modeled that behavior so that it didn't need to be something that was posted as a set of rules in a break room somewhere.
Right.
So that you'd all try to remember it. Yeah, that's an outstanding story.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I can, let's go into the lightning round. Are you ready for the lightning round?
Sure.
Let's dive right in. And I'm going to start with, we'll get to some all play questions in a moment. But first, let me start with Ellie. You started answering phones at Meyer Music when you were 12. As you think back on those conversations, do you remember that absolutely terrible customer call that scarred you for life? And I don't know that there's one. I just know that there's one. There has to be, right?
Yeah, I think probably one that I messed up, and I had to go into my dad and say, okay, I messed this up and I don't know what to do. And I think that was definitely scary. I don't know. I can't think of like an exact example. I remember the scariest part of answering the phones was when Betty Meyer's name would pop up on the caller ID, and that was my grandma. And
Totally.
I don't know if it was you or someone else that said hello the first time you answered the phone, and she goes, hello?
Hello, excuse me.
No,
That's
that
how
was
you're
our-
answering our phones?
That was Mallory, yeah.
Yeah, that
Our
was
cousin
one of-
Mallory, yeah, she did that.
Yeah. So it's the scariest part was just answering the phone for my grandma and saying, Meyer Music, this is Ellie, even though it was grandma.
Yeah, that's right. You knew who it was going to be,
yes,
but there's a process here.
Yes, yes.
Outstanding. John, you once said your dream job was music critic, and looking at all the steps to get there. A deep cut on this one for show
That is
research.
a deep cut.
Is that still your dream job, or has that changed?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I love listening to music. I listen to everything. I mean, I go like across the entire spectrum. A lot of people are like, you know, I listen to a lot of music. I listen to a lot of music, and I listen to the full range. So I don't know.
It's not like you have everything, you know, except country and western. No, not that.
There's really none of that. No,
Okay.
I think I would go so far as to say there's no such thing as bad music. I think it's all subjective, and somebody, whether if you think it's bad, there's probably somebody out there that thinks it's fantastic. So, yeah, I think that might still be my dream job. That or movie critic. I watch a lot of movies too. So,
Well, let's dive right into that.
Okay.
So, with an all play, best movie that prominently features music.
ooh,
So that I'm leaving it open. Could be a musical. It could just be this was an amazing, like, if I go first and give you a moment to think, like, you know, that opening scene of Reservoir Dogs, with the slow motion black and white on a brick background of the gangsters walking down the street. For me, I'm good with that. I could work with that as a solid choice for this one.
Mine, I just watched The Godfather for the first time a few weeks ago with my husband, and I think the music, the soundtrack to The Godfather, phenomenal. I was watching it like this is perfect, and I have been listening to it because I like to, whenever I'm working, I listen to things that don't have words, so just instrumental music, and I've been listening to The Godfather soundtrack.
Soundtrack, okay.
yeah. I don't know. It's got to probably be Whiplash for me, and I've never had an experience like that.
Yes.
Directors are not like that. Although there like you hear stories of like music directors out there that are like that, but I mean that movie is really just incredible, and it's all focused around music.
Around music, yeah. And I think even from the outside, because I don't have so much of a musical background, but the hearing him say, "That's not my tempo," over and over again, and just drilling it into
now
like that
does
was powerful.
get said. That does happen for sure.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Good choices. Good choices. Let me go with if you could pick one food to have for the rest of your life. Do you have that like desert island food? Like I could eat that thing all the time. I could eat that.
I would say I like steak a lot, and I think thinking logistically, having steak on an island, you have access to hopefully meat. You have access to fire, like pretty easy to cook. So mine would be steak.
I'd probably say a hamburger. I don't know how I'm going to ground the beef out on an island.
Well, it doesn't. Yeah, and we could either have an
Chop it up,
amazing kitchen setup on this island, or really it's just any food you'd want all the time. Burger.
Yeah, a hamburger. Yeah, just any kind of hamburger. Yeah.
Really? Do you, and when you go with that, do you mostly go like there is a restaurant and that's the burger I want, or is it like I'm going to grill outside or smash burger outside?
I think it's also important to tell them how you take a burger, because this is a very Meyer.
What do you mean how I take? Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I've added to it, but when we were growing up, my dad ordered how he wanted to order, which, by the way, my dad is a nightmare at restaurants. He orders
off menu most of the time.
He orders off menu most of the time. The menu scares him. He does not like to look at the menu, so he typically just asks for what he wants. And it's very bland. If you shouted out a restaurant, I could probably tell you what his order is.
Or a type of cuisine, we could absolutely tell you.
Yes, here's what he's going to go with.
And so when we were growing up, it was a hamburger with mustard only.
Okay.
Now, I have added cheese to that, and I will even put an onion on there from time to time. But yeah, I don't know. And probably I know it's prepared disgusting, but if I had to have one burger for the rest of my life, it's got to be a McDouble with mustard only and some onions on there.
I don't mind
And
that
I
at
know
all.
that's
Yeah.
gross, but it's consistent. It's always good. And that's definitely got to be the best one.
And we'll pivot to a marketing conversation for just half a second, because in a retail environment and a service environment, like product consistency is that's everything. You have to have a consistent product. Or people don't know what they're going to get every time, and you're rolling the dice, and that's not a way to keep a customer coming back again and again. But if you know that McDouble is going to be the same burger every single time, count on it, bank on it.
Absolutely.
Like, you've done something right if that's the case.
Totally.
So I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Let me pivot to if you could be incredible at any sport in the world without putting any effort in, what would you like to do?
I know you're going to probably say the same thing, but I'm going to say golf, because I'm not an athlete and I'm not a golfer at all. But I think the places that you get to see as an incredible golfer are very, very cool. And the places that you could travel and the courses that you could play. And also, I think driving around in a golf cart on a nice day, having a glass of having a drink, like that just sounds nice. I say that again as a non-golfer. I've never golfed a day in my life, but I like watching golf.
As a golfer, I can tell you that some of those gorgeous courses that you get to play and go to as a good golfer are truly beautiful and amazing, and you have a great time. And then there are others where your game is so bad that day that there is no beauty in the world that can make up for how bad you feel about it. So I see it, and I hope the best for you on the golf journey.
Yeah, mine would definitely also be golf, because I am an avid golfer. I love to play, but I'm terrible. So it would be nice to be able to go out there and be good at it. Yeah. That would be very helpful.
All right. I'm going to throw this last one out, and again, and all play. Last question in the lightning round, and it's really just your biggest hope for musicians, aspiring musicians in the future. Some youth out there is hoping to get into the world of music. What is your hope for them? Would you hope that they do?
I think just trying everything. And, I think talking about Meyer Music, also talking about Band of Angels, which was founded by Meyer Music, giving access to a lot of people that would not normally have access to music. So I think, not being afraid to try the instrument that you look at and you're like, okay, that's cool. I saw this guy doing that on TV. That's really cool. Or I was at a football game and I saw this girl down during halftime playing a marimba and just like rocking it. Like, I think not being afraid to try anything.
Yeah, I would say the same. Don't be afraid to try. Find the instrument that you love, because the instrument you're going to be the best at is the one that you want to play the most.
Yeah.
It's the one that you're going to put the most effort into. And so find the one that you love. And you do have to, sometimes you have to try a lot. So find the one that you love and stick with that one, because that's going to be the instrument that you're going to be the best at.
The one that you won't mind practicing at, that you'll actually actively work toward.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, and then I assume the advice then for parents would be, hey, just don't force them into a lesson of X if there's no desire there.
Yeah.
Figure out what they're going for. Figure out what they're into.
Yeah, I get that question a lot. I get that question from parents a lot. Is what's the best instrument for my kid? And I say the same. That's the same answer that I give every time. Is the best instrument for your kid is the one that they want to play the most, because it's the one they're going to practice the most. It's the one they're going to put the most effort into. So
I also think advice for parents is, you start playing piano and you have these skills that you have to hit and this type of music that you have to practice. But I think the years that I was the most successful was when I had a teacher that was like, we're going to play that classical stuff and you're going to learn that and you're going to practice that and that's going to be what we focus on. But you're also going to get to pick one cool song that you like. Ooh. And I'm a big Sarah Bareilles fan, and he let me get a Sarah Bareilles book, and we had one song the last 10 minutes of every lesson. We would play Sarah Bareilles, and I would get to sing and play piano. And that was something that was when I practiced the most, because I was so excited to do that. So advice to parents would be, talk to the teachers, make sure you're doing the best to give your child the best setup for success, but also let them do some fun stuff with that too, because that's going to incentivize them to practice as well.
That's the biggest cheat code that you've just given parents. Well done. Yeah, that is a great tip for parents to have. I'll take you out of the lightning round. That's it. You've survived the lightning round, and we got into some great territory on burgers and everything, which is always my favorite. If you'd like to turn the tables, I've asked you a bunch of questions. If there's anything you'd like to ask me, I'm happy to answer anything.
Who's your dream podcast guest?
Oh, dream podcast guest. I'm gonna get super nerdy, and there's some man, Theo's laughing at me. I can tell. I'm going to get super nerdy because there are some Dungeons and Dragons podcasters out there and content creators that I would love to have on the show. And that would be spectacular. There's a TED Talk I did that has yet to be published that's about management and Dungeons and Dragons.
Cool.
Some people play instruments and other people are just giant geeks, and sometimes those Venn diagrams overlap.
A lot of overlap there, I'm sure.
For me, that's where I'd go, and I don't know that anyone else would get quite as much joy out of that as I will. Yeah. So the audience for that is maybe not as big, but I would sure enjoy that a whole lot. So yeah. Great question. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up. If people want to find out where to go to find that musical instrument of the dream, to connect with you guys, where should they go? Where should they look?
As our social media and marketing manager at Meyer Music, I'm going to push our social media accounts.
I approve. I approve of this.
Please give us a follow on Instagram and Facebook. We've got some fun reels in the works that I'm working on. And then we also are on LinkedIn. I am personally on LinkedIn. It's Ellie Meyer Boyle.
Yeah. Same thing. Meyer Music, meyermusic.com is probably the best place to find all of us. Come into one of our stores. There's one in North Kansas City, Blue Springs, and Overland Park. And then I am also on LinkedIn, and feel free to follow me there. I don't remember what my username is, but you'll be able to find me.
It probably has something to do with your name.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, that'll get them there, or find Meyer Music, and it'll show up that way. On the socials, real quick. Do you have a favorite social media channel that you're managing? Is it Instagram? Is it something else? What are you into the reels? Where do you love to spend your time?
I probably have more enjoyment on Instagram, just because I think my generation, that's where I personally on my personal Instagram is probably where I prefer to post. But I think our audience is more on Facebook. So I am trying, that is one of my challenges for myself, is trying to be more active on Facebook and kind of push both of those.
Got it. Yeah, and both owned by Meta, so you're in the same ecosystem either way.
Yep.
Yeah. Now we look forward to great things from that channel. Everybody, please go check that out. That's our show. Let me just do the normal kind of shout out and say thanks for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star rating and review. Drop us a line on the website at eagadv.com if you have any thoughts. Until then, we'll be out here helping entrepreneurs with another small business miracle.
Talk about strategies and all the capabilities, building all your hopes, dreams, and all the possibilities. It ain't rocket surgery, but maybe it is. Come on down, we're gonna sit around, we're gonna get into your business.